Hello, family. Welcome back to African Diaspora News Channel. I am Wongel Zelalem, and today I have an interesting topic for you. But first, let me allow some of our viewers to join because this is live and I don't want them to miss anything. So, yeah, welcome. I see you joining in. Welcome. Hopefully, you saw the thumbnail and the title. We're talking about a controversial topic, actually, something that you rarely hear coming out of a white man's mouth. But Pearce is kind of different, I must say, because I've watched a few of the videos that he makes. He's a white man that was raised in South Africa, but at the age of 12, traveled or immigrated. Let's not even say traveled, because if it's anybody else, will say immigrant. And he also calls himself an immigrant, so it's fine. He immigrated with his family at the 12 years of age to London, to Britain, and that is where he grew up. And so that is why, if you're South African, you can hear an accent from a British accent as well as a little bit of a South African accent. So this white man that immigrated to Britain at the age of 12 says, and this is his, according to him, verbatim, quote, experiencing racism as a small child becomes a part of your fabric and it might take years to unravel it, end quote. And when he's talking about racism, he doesn't mean that him facing racism. It's actually the other way around. It's actually he talks about it a little bit in, and I'll show you his video shortly. I'm just waiting for our other people to join. But he talks about how growing up, it was imprinted in him. It was learned. Racism for him was learned, and people around him made sure that he had that kind of mentality. And he is not saying that he faced it. He's saying that his own people pushed it on others and discriminated against others. And the anti-blackness nature of things is what he tries to expose. And as I said in the beginning of this video, it's something that you don't hear a lot coming out of a white man's mouth. And it's not just him. I was pleasantly surprised to see that a lot of white South Africans were admitting to what they have witnessed growing up, but now decided to change, not to be like their parents, I guess. But anyways, fam, let me show you the video, the clip, and we'll have a discussion, because let me tell you something. There's a heated conversation about this, and some of our own folks, our own people, when I say our, I mean Black people in general, I've seen in the comment section saying some stuff, and I'm like, wait a minute, like, what do you mean this white man is admitting to things and you want to push, and you we'll get into it. You will, some people are just, I don't know, they like to sell out, I guess. Anywho, let me show you the clip of what he's saying. He's talking about how Black people know white people more than white people know themselves. Like, yeah, it's an interesting concept, but hear him out. Let me play you the clip.
White people. Black people know more about white people than white people know about themselves. As a white South African who grew up during apartheid, the first time I ever heard this phrase, instinctively, I knew it was true. But intellectually, I couldn't have told you why. It took me years of reading and thinking and researching and listening to be able to come here today and tell you that I finally understand what this means. During apartheid, white South Africans controlled all of the natural resources of South Africa. We controlled the gold, the diamonds, the platinum, the farmland. But there was one natural resource that Black South Africans had in abundance, and that resource was the truth.
Before he continues, he goes on. It's quite a video. There's more to come. I'll show you, but I want to also give this specific timestamp a time of its own. He talked about how during apartheid, what has happened between white people and Black people, and he is on the wrong side of history, as you know, and he's admitting that he was born into a white family there, and they were part of the system, right? And so he just mentioned something that I want to highlight. He said the black people had one thing, and that is the truth. The truth was with them, and I thought that was, yeah, that was, it needed its own moment.
Particularly the truth about white South Africans. You see, as a racist in apartheid South Africa, you had to constantly be tying yourself up in cognitive dissonance. So we believed that black people were lazy, that they didn't want to do any work, they just wanted to lie around all day. But who did we force to dig the mines, drive the buses, deliver the post, build the houses? It was black people. We believed that black people were dirty, they didn't like to shower, they didn't wash their hands after they went to the toilet. But who did we get to clean our houses? It was black people. We thought that black people were unreliable, they couldn't be trusted, they would steal, they would lie. But who did we get to look after our children unsupervised? It was black people. You see, racism means that white South Africans could treat black South Africans however they needed to at any particular moment. One moment, you would be the adult and the black person would be the child. You would call the 50-year-old man who mowed your lawn a garden boy, even if he had grandchildren. And then the next moment, you would be the child, and a black woman would be making your bed, preparing your dinner, even comforting you when you were in emotional distress. The black American sociologist W.E.B. Du Bois talks about what he calls double consciousness. This is what he wrote. It is a peculiar sensation, this double consciousness, this sense of always looking at oneself through the eyes of others, of measuring one's soul by the tape of a world that looks on in amused contempt and pity. One ever feels this two-ness, an American, a Negro, two souls, two thoughts, two unreconciled strivings, two warring ideals in one dark body. This is a painful way to think about a person's psyche, but this kind of damage, this split where a person has to be acting one way, thinking another way, I believe this originates inside the racist and is then transmitted into the black body. Because a white racist has to be able to believe that I am a good person even though I treat others badly. I am a Christian even though I treat others in an unchristian way. And I bring about peace through violence and war. I still have a long way to go in my journey. The thing about racism, especially when you experience it as a small child, is that it becomes a part of your fabric, and it can take years, decades even, to unpick and unravel it. If you want to join me on my journey, please drop me a follow. I've just had to restart my channel here on TikTok, and I would love to be joined by as many passionate anti-racists as possible. It's only by talking about racism, by taking it apart and understanding it in its entirety, that we can ever have any hope of moving past it.
Yeah, I played it all on purpose because I wanted you to get his whole entire point, because he is coming from someone that experienced it, not from the other side, not facing it, but actually the one putting others through that. And he lived through apartheid at least until he was 12 years of age, and he immigrated to Britain with his family. And because of that, he said he's still in the journey of unraveling what he believed to be true about Black people, what he was taught, what he was programmed to think. And he usually gets on the nerves of them folks, and I see them really hating on him. I believe they even got his page taken down, if I'm not wrong, because this is a new page that I'm seeing him on. And he's usually calling out racist, calling out their hypocrisy, their double standards. And it's interesting to see it coming from, a person like him. And as I said earlier, and I see many of you are just joining now, this is a direct quote from him that I also want to talk about a little bit, because I think it's important to address it. He said, quote, "Experiencing racism as a small child becomes a part of your fabric, and it might take years to unravel it," end quote. In 2025, a lot of people want us to believe that there's no such thing as racism. We've moved past it. We are no longer dealing with that. Forget about it. Like, why are you still on that? And to make matters worse, and this is something that really drove me into talking about this specific topic, because I went through the comment section, and I saw some of our own people in the comment section, and I quote, I won't name names, I won't call out the person's name, but this is what our brother said under this man's post after he talked about his experience and how he's trying to unlearn the racism that he has been taught. Our, I don't even know if I can, but he is our brother. It's just, he's, I don't know. This is what he said. He said, quote, I think the best way to stop racism is to stop talking about it, end quote. Uh, I don't know, maybe some of you might agree with this, but in my personal opinion, I don't think it's the right move, because the more you hide something, the more you try to throw it under the rug, it becomes bigger and bigger and bigger. And the when you're not telling your story, what you went through, the story will be told from the other side. There's an African proverb, I'm trying to remember, but I don't want to butcher it. It goes something like, if the lion doesn't write his own history, you're only going to hear that story from the hunter's side, because the hunter will go and write and tell a story how he killed the lion, but he will tell his perspective, even though it's the lion that was wronged, right? So why would you suggest that we should stop talking about it? Why wouldn't you call out wrong when you see it? Why wouldn't you stand for the truth? Why wouldn't you shine a light on it so it stops being a thing? By hiding it, by not talking about it, you think it's going to be solved. I don't understand this mentality, but to each his own, and that's his opinion, and that's fine. I saw some people arguing the same case as well, and yeah, it's interesting to see them saying that when this comment section is filled with white people talking about how growing up they picked up this issues, or okay, it's not an issue, anti-blackness, and they are trying to unlearn it now, and they're finding it hard, and you are here telling them there you should stop talking about it in order for it to go away. Since when not addressing a thing solved any problem? Anything can find a solution if you address the issue, if you talk about what's going on, and if you try to unravel it. If not, then how, right? But yeah, it was interesting to hear some people saying that. But let me just talk to the chat for real quick, and then we'll continue with the topic. Renz said, greetings to you too. Hey, hey DJ, said stay black. Ikwapa, hello, how are you? Ren said, you described a lot of your own culture and their nastiness, my good man. And that's true. And that is what he addresses on his page. His name is Pearce. Yes, his name is Pearce. And that is his entire content. He talks about his experience. He talks about his lived experience. He's not reading from a book. He's not telling us what he thinks should be done. He lived through that situation. And he is trying at the very least to change. He's at the very least trying to change others from doing the same thing to a whole group race of people that have done nothing to them. If anything, he talks about how growing up they'll be told, oh, black people are like this, but then in reality, what they say and how they act, or what they do when it comes to employing, it's not even employing, enslaving and colonizing black people, it just does not add up. If you're saying that I'm not trustworthy, how can you trust me to raise your kid, to breastfeed your kid, to take care of your kid when you're not around? If you're saying I'm dirty, how come you feel comfortable with me cleaning your house, with me being your help? How does that add up? How does that make sense? And I think he makes a really great point, in my opinion. um Alice said they cannot survive without Africa, which is true. And the honest ones admit to it, and maybe not publicly as much, but they do. They know. And it's unfortunate that many of us, the indigenous, the locals, don't see it, because we're too wrapped up in our issues, day to day, daily bread, right? Like, how am I going to feed my family? You forget that there's much more underneath the ground. There's much more. If there was true guidance and good leadership, that you can live a better life. But you see, they have blinded us in focusing on the now, because our situation might not be the best. We're not able to see far in the future. We're not able to see outside of our own today, to see what could be, what is possible for us. Um, Yikwa allowing the ad for you. No, I didn't get that. What you're saying, Yikwa? Yikwaba said, right, that's suppression. Not sure. AOH said, I don't know, Engel. Think it depends on the country. In America, race is such a divisive discussion, which is true. I've seen. At this point, don't think you can change the minds of conservatives on race. And the older generation, I guess, is gonna be hard. As this guy admittedly, like he admitted that he struggles, like it's he's on a journey, and this man is already accepting what he learned, what he's trying to change. Now imagine those that don't believe that they have that mentality or that view about black people, but they still exist amongst us, right? And so I believe what you're saying. It's not going to be easy, or it's not. I don't even know if it's worth a try. But if you know the problem, if the problem is taught, if the problem is how we're handling it right now, maybe the next generation, maybe because this guy now can raise his kids um, in a better light, in a better way. And there were a few people, not just there, but also from other countries and continents. There was one person in from Australia talking about the exact same thing, how it took him, for him actually, it took him. An experience to hear about someone's experience to change his mind and to break down crying and to swear to himself that he'll never look at black people the way he was taught. It's a lot. As you mentioned, you can't change everyone's mind, and it's fine. I'm not saying change, but at the very least, there are people like him that are trying to, at the very least, trying to work on themselves. So that's an interesting topic to discuss, I thought, because there's quite a back and forth about this idea of is taught, or is it you inherit it, or is it in your DNA, right? There are these conversations quite a lot. And can you also be an ally? uh, I don't know how you feel about that. AOH. Light said, yep. So when they want to point a false narrative of two parent households, a perfect dads, of the high rates of child abuse by dads, the high rates of single teen mothers, etc., etc. And they pick and choose. And I think I've seen. I think it's the same man actually. He was talking. No, it's not the same man. There's another white man that them folks hate so much with passion because he calls them out and he's part of the community. He talks about a stat where when it fits the narrative, they only pick and choose which stat they want to show, even though when you look at it number wise, population wise, and broader, it's nothing close. And they want to focus on other areas so that they can target and make us believe that there's an issue over there, not over here, which is not true and accurate. That's how they manipulate the numbers. Dennis said the actor Morgan Freeman says to get rid of racism is to stop talking about it. Damnful. He says that. Oh, I love Morgan Freeman so much, actually. Though I've heard somewhere that he doesn't identify. Like, okay, it's a different topic for a different story. But I do like Morgan Freeman. He said that. I didn't know that. Okay, so I guess that sentiment is more than I expected it to be. Yukwaba said right, light, especially if you've worked or know those who worked within certain sectors, the stats cause the stats because you see the people 99% of are white. Yeah, I think we also need people that debunk the stats. I understand some people believe the truth, will always come out. It's okay. I don't need to defend it. I don't need to defend myself. I don't need to talk about it. I get that point as well. But some of us, at least the ones that feel passionate about this, need to come out with the stats. Right now, we have the internet, we have even ChatGPT, right? Like there's AIs. You have the tools in order to do your research. Do your research and try to debunk these false narratives because they're doing harm. If they're left unchecked, they're gonna continue to talk about it to the point where it becomes the truth, and people will believe that. And for the most part, a lot of people believe it, right? Especially if you're taking your news from specific outlets, they're gonna convince you that it is this way and not that way. So I do believe in people taking up that cross, whatever cross it is that you need to take up on yourself, put in the work, put in the effort to debunk some of the lies. Otherwise, they will sell it to us, and they have. So, yeah, let's debunk that. Ikwaba said, and looking for white zaddy in the sky. Wait, what are you talking about? Did we talk about white zaddy right now? Kenneth said, why are they always on the plane coming to the continent, but you don't want to be around us? Well, this is something that we've talked about for a bit now, and I've even shown a few planes full of them. And, it's clear. It's clear as day why that's happening. Um, most of them realize the value, realize what is here, and realize what they can get out of the African continent. It's just us that don't realize that, as I said earlier, because we're more focused on the day to day. And you can't blame the average person. They don't have time to be thinking about entrepreneurship or thinking, because even when they're trying to do entrepreneurship, you know what happens to them? They get stuck. They get held up because of the policies that are on the ground, because of how corrupt their leaders are, because of resources, because of funding. There are so many things working against African entrepreneurs. It's not as easy as, other parts of the world. And that's how they get you. You focus on the now, forget that there's a whole lot of things that you could be doing, you should be doing, and they take advantage of that. But for them, they know exactly what they're doing. They will come here, either it's for vacation, or either it's to set up their companies or work with governments. They do what needs to be done while the locals suffer. And that's why we need to talk about it and push back, change the narrative. That's why I disagree with staying silent. With as our brother said, he said the best way to stop racism is to stop talking about it. I don't agree. Though I don't think it should be the whole focus. Let me say that as well. I don't think it should be the whole focus, because you also have to talk about the solutions, the opportunities, the stuff that they don't want us to look at. You need to look at that, as well as addressing the wrong that is happening to your people. Sunner Sky said thanks. Light said, over years of growing up with them, you know them. Yikwaba said, oh, if we watch an ad while you're live, it pays royalties to your channel. I don't know. Yikwaba, I don't know if you're talking to me. Maybe I said something and I forgot. But right now in this context, I don't know what you're saying. AOH said, yeah, the youth can still potentially be influenced. Most people over the age of 30 have most likely already made up their minds on race issues. I agree. And it's not just race issues. If you've seen your parents, your grandparents, the older generation, look at any race. They're set in their ways. And I think it's all of us. As we grow older, we get to decide what hill to die on, I guess. Like some of us, like we will make up our minds on certain things. It's going to be very hard. Even when we want to change our minds, it's going to be very hard to change our minds in that specific topic. And so, yeah, I don't think we should be knocking on people's doors and trying to convince them. It is what it is. Let them think what they want. We know it's wrong. And as this man said, the truth is with Black people. And so that's what matters. But at the same time, it's okay to highlight those that are standing against the wrong of their own community. Light said, sorry, I'm typing fast. Type out yours. I'm not sure where you made the mistake, Light. I think Ikwa was responding to Light. They twisted the history and changed it to rob every nation, is what I'm saying, sister. That is true. I don't disagree with you. And that is why I said earlier, we need to address it. Like, if you don't address it, if it goes unchecked, it's going to be the truth. It's going to be the reality. It's like rewriting history. No, we should not allow that. That is why we have this channel as well. We need to fight the narrative. We need to speak the truth. The truth shall set you free. Here you go. Chila said, looks like you are obsessed with white people. It's actually the other way around. I don't know who you are. I can't see. Why don't you have your profile picture so we know who we're talking to? Whoever you are, it's actually the other way around. And in case you just joined us, this is the guy we're talking about, and this is your
White people than white people know about themselves. Black people know more about white people than white people know about themselves. As a white South African who
Yeah, if you just joined, feel free to rewind and watch what your brother said about your people and how he's trying his best to get out of the mindset that he was thrown into, or the mentality he's fighting, his own battles. But I believe he's exposing enough of you, and yeah, it's okay. The truth shall set you free, as I said earlier, and we're not we're not obsessed with you. It's actually the other way around. And if we're left alone, I that would be perfect. Thank you. Um, boats on the boots. Yeah, boots on the ground said. Sometimes the best move is to. I'm assuming is there to do nothing and let the truth materialize, leave the wicked alone and focus more on the ones who are hopeful. Yes, we need to focus on the hopeful, but we also need to call out evil or bad when we see it. We should not let it slide. We've done that for long, and that is why I feel like it has grown into this big, huge monster. And the more you call it out and set it straight, I think the better. Live said, smart lady. If you're talking about me, thank you. Live, yes. Susan, good evening to you. So Ren said, keep your mouth shh on important topics, make the situation worse. Be a prophet of conviction and principles. I agree with you. Like, why are we quiet when it comes to topics that matter to us and it affects our children, and it affects us? Why wouldn't we call it out? Why wouldn't we talk about it? What do you? That's my, as I said, to each his own, and that's my opinion on that. And kudos to this white man for calling his own people. I mean, what else do you want me to say? Um, Light said, I agree. We should talk about it as much as they sell false narratives for us and future generations. We need to break the cycle of lies they sell. I agree with you. We need to call it out. We need to put an end to it, a stop to it, especially because it's a lie. A lie is a lie, and it needs to be called out. The devil is a liar, as you know. And so we need to call it out. As I'll say this again. We're not saying let's focus on it and our whole identity revolves around it. But when we see it, we set it straight and we move along, is my opinion. um Live said, yeah, I'm trying to be a better person by not judging others. A lot of people are kind. Yes, and let's also take it individually. As I said earlier, there's so many stories, there's so many, even in this. If you can, whenever you can go and check it out. Here he is. His name is Emmeline Pearce, and you should see his comment section. These are older women, men, white, admitting to how they were raised and how it has been an uphill battle for them to change their minds on certain things when they know that it's wrong. It's like imprinted, engraved in them. And these people are being honest. At least they're not like the others. They don't want you to believe that that want you to believe that everything is okay, move on. It's in the history, you're living in the past, just move on, when that's your lived reality. They're trying to gaslight you, basically. So there are good people, bad people, but yeah. Light said, we shouldn't feel guilty about talking about the truth. We should always choose it to tear down the lies. Agreed with you. Yakwaba said, if you never stand up to a bully, they will get worse. I agree, sister. I'm with you on that, and I've seen it happen. Live said, oh, Julius, it's a lot easier to look up information these days. Before you had to go to the library in the city. Exactly. Like, yes, Julius, it was so hard back in the days. And our people still did their best to find out about the things that they care about, to do their research, to now we have it. If anything, now the issue is, yes, we have a lot of information on our hands, it's just scanning through them, figuring out which is true, which is lie, you know what I mean, like using discernment, making sure that you get your stories from different sources so you know it's the truth, taking some things from some medias with a pinch of salt. That's the issue now. Back in the days, it was so hard to get information. We are so blessed to have to live in a world where we have access to information. The issue we have is with a lot of information, and we need to figure out which is misinformation and information. That's, don't get me wrong, that's also a lot of work, but yeah, we have that. Let's use it, people. Let's use it. um yeah. Live said, did you review the comments already? I did it by myself. I didn't do it here because you see, when you're bringing up comments, you'll see their profile, you'll see their names, and some of our brothers and sisters are just acting a fool in that comment section, and I just didn't feel like exposing. That's not what I'm trying to do. If you want to go look it up, go look up what they're saying, how they're defending some people, but the ones that were standing up are also there. The ones that are admitting to their upbringing and how they want to change their ways are also there. So go look at them up. I didn't review it on this channel though, but I played the man's video. If you just joined, you can go back and watch it. It's there. He makes a good point in my opinion. Go ahead and check him out. Yeah. So Yikwaba said, are you planning on doing a video of the wildlife in Ethiopia, sister, like National Geographic's? Oh, that's nice. I've never considered that. Maybe it's a consideration. Thank you, Live IRL. Thank you guys so much for this chat. And for those of you that just joined, make sure you rewind and watch what this white man is saying about his own people and exposing his own people. So it's quite a watch. Go ahead and watch it. Thank you for everything and for the chat. I'll see you same time tomorrow. Bye.